Hello everyone and welcome back to Lux and Wine. My name is Caitlin and today I'm here to give you guys an update on the wear and tear on my Neverfull, which is pretty much non-existent. So I bought this Neverfull in July 2018 and then I have a whole video where I unboxed this one, which is the replacement for that one because it did have an issue. That's a whole thing. I'll link that video down below. But anyways, this is the one that was replaced last year in February. So now in February 2020, it is 1 year old. And I will say I have actually had significantly less wear on this one than I did on the first one. So I had the first one from 2018 to February 2019. And then February 2019 was when my first one was replaced. So my 8-month-old had like peeling here. It had a white mark here. Of course, the holes, which that's a whole other video, link below. But anyways, I also had the weirdest, which I do have this issue on my planner too, just a little bit, and I hadn't quite figured out what it is. It's almost like a white haze over some sections of the canvas, and I tried like baby wipes. On my other Neverfull, it like never went away and I could never figure out what it is. This does not have that issue. I'm really glad that they replaced this, and that's the one thing, if you're thinking about buying one of these, buy it from the boutique. Now you can find these on the pre-loved market. Like let's say you don't want this pouch. Then you've got a couple of options. You can buy this from the boutique and then offset some of your cost by selling your pouch, because these pouches do go for about $400, usually even by themselves on the pre-loved market. And then that kind of offsets your cost of buying new. But why I say to buy new on something like this, even though there's a plethora of them on the pre-loved market, is that if something goes wrong, the way that you use these, which is, I feel like, a lot harder than you use most Louis Vuitton handbags, because this is gonna be like your travel bag or your work bag or your shopping bag or your baby bag. However you're gonna use this bag, it's a lot harder than you're gonna use a handbag. So I really feel like that makes me be glad that I bought this from the boutique, because when I did have an issue, they stood behind it and swapped it out, and it was fabulous. And I've actually since then had another bag swapped out that had a structure issue. So it's really made me not want to go on the pre-loved market unless things that I like going on the pre-loved market for. So I bought this on the pre-loved market, and that really made sense because this was, I think it's 300 new, and I wasn't sure if I was really going to use it a ton, but I knew that I wanted to try it. And there's a ton of these on the pre-loved market. For really cheap, you can save $100, $150, unlike these. On Fashion File, these go within $100 of retail. So unless you're in a place where you can't buy Louis Vuitton and have never bought from the boutique, and that's your only option for buying the bag, there's really no reason to buy it on the pre-loved market. You can buy it from the boutique and then they'll stand behind it no matter what. You got, if you have stitching coming out, you've got hardware issues. I mean, as long as you don't damage your bag on purpose, you know, they're gonna stand behind any sort of craftsmanship errors, anything that's really out of the ordinary. Like if you were walking down the street and had a freak accident and your bag like split open and it was because of seam failure or something like that, I've never seen that happen, but you know what I'm saying? Like anything that is outside of normal wear and tear, because like I do know that on these a lot of people will have gathering right here, so I don't have any of that. And I weigh it down, so I've got some air paper in there right now, but I have a Smorgasbord organizer in it, which I talked about in a couple of videos. I keep my laptop in the back and it works really well. I actually just did another video where I compared this to my Valentino tote. I really love it for work, for just like setting it. So I'll be in one chair and then I'll set it in the chair next to me and I'll pull out my laptop and I'll do my work. And then if I need anything else, I can just dip in and go. That's what I really love about the tote, the open tote style work bag, is that it really works well for that type of situation where you have the space to set it next to you. I do not, because it doesn't have feet, I don't set it on the ground. I have, because I've been using an organizer, I'll pull the organizer out for you guys so you guys can see the interior. I don't have any marks on the interior. There's a piece of glitter in there and a piece of dust, but the interior looks perfect. I have no marks in there. And I've carried this in, I wouldn't say heavy rain, but some light rain. If it's raining heavy, I'm not carrying this, I'm taking my laptop out and putting it under, you know, my coat or my blazer, and I'm walking in wherever I'm going. Because I truly don't have to carry everything with me all the time, but because of how far I travel away from home, I often do carry more than I would if I was going to a regular office job where I just had to take my laptop back and forth. It really looks fabulous. All of the stitching, I'm like looking to see. There's no stitching issues. There's a little bit of ever so slight leather creasing around, like where you can see that eventually it will probably do that thing that a lot of them do. Let's see if you guys can see this. So see how it's ever so slightly starting to kind of pucker around there, ever so slightly, and the leather's kind of creasing around there. So that's normal, and you can get that replaced if it bothers you. Other than that, canvas is all good. I really don't have issues with corner wear on my bags, but you can see the corners all look good. The bottom looks good. And I mean, I've been careful with it, but I have not babied this bag. I really haven't. I have used it. I know that I bumped it a couple of times. Because it's so big, the biggest problem that you're gonna have with a bag like this is that when you're walking, you're like gonna hit stuff and brush up against stuff. And I've definitely done that, but that's one of the reasons why I think that Samorga organizers are a better choice. So like in the video that I shot earlier of my Valentino tote, the Valentino tote has an original club organizer inside, which is a little bit more stiff, which is good for a bag like my Valentino tote. It's a little bit more structured. With this, you want an organizer like the Samorga one that's a little bit squishier. You want it to be firm enough to give it shape, but squishy enough that when somebody brushes by the bag, or if you scrape up against something, that the bag is gonna have some give. And I truly believe that that is why here at 1 year, I do not have any scraping, corner wear, or those white marks that you get on canvas that has had that kind of issue. I think it was Lux Mommy that talked about her Speedy. She put a base shaper in there, and the base shaper was really stiff and therefore caused the corners to be really stiff. And then when you rub up against the corners, like I just said, it just really caused a lot more corner wear because it wasn't letting it be squishy. And that squishiness is really what, like I said, keeps it to where when you're brushing up against it, it's not a hard surface. Brushing up a hard surface, it's got some give, which reduces the amount of friction. I really think that this is a really good bag for somebody who's starting out. Of course, I still stand behind my bandeau video where if you're gonna buy something from Louis Vuitton, I highly recommend starting with a bandeau because you can do so much with it versus a small leather good that nobody's gonna see because it's inside your bag, and you really only enjoy when you're pulling it out of your bag to use it versus something that you can see all the time. But I think that if you are looking for a good first bag, this is a good first bag. My only thing, and I talked about this a little bit in my Valentino versus Louis Vuitton tote video, is that these are very thin straps. So this is the regret that I have about this bag, is that the straps are so thin. Also because it's so deep that it really does get heavy and heavy on your shoulder. And the strap drop, I believe I measured it in that video, and it's only about 8.5 inches. So right now I'm wearing this super crazy fun sequin blazer, and I can get it on my shoulder, but you can see I don't really have super big arms, but there's not that much space there. So if you're wearing a coat, you may or may not be able to get this all the way on your shoulder, and you might be carrying it like that, or, you know, holding it. And that's really difficult with a bag that is this big. And I do believe the strap drop is the same, if not a little bit shorter on the MM. I think it might be the same on the MM, but I think on the PM it's a little shorter. The measurements are on the Louis Vuitton website, and you can always double check that. And then also, if you were interested in the measurements, I do have them. Okay, so I chose the GM when I was originally looking because the MM was just a little bit too small for my laptop. I think the MM is 12.5 or 12.6 inches wide. I have a 13-inch laptop, so although I could put the laptop in at an angle, it just really didn't work for me. So Instead, I went with the GM and got my Samorga organizer, which unfortunately, like I've talked about in a couple of different videos, they don't make this version anymore, but you can have this custom made. If not by them, like I spoke about in my other video, Original Club will custom make one with the laptop sleeve. And I think Samorga still does one with a laptop sleeve too, but it just looks a little different. But anyways, this is 15.7 inches wide, 13 inches tall, and 7.9 inches deep. So that really is a big bag and a lot bigger than what I need for my laptop. But like I said, it does work well if you're traveling not by plane. I will say another thing I want to say about this bag. This is not a bag that I would get on a plane with because I've seen it happen to people. You put this under your seat, plane goes, and you're going up and you're going up and it goes, and now guess where all your stuff's going? All over the plane. And it is really not, because it doesn't have the zipper, it's not the best. However, I will say if you're somebody that does want to travel on a plane with this, they do make, Samorga does it, and so does a couple of the other handbag organizer companies. You can get an organizer that has a zipper. And I have considered that, but unfortunately, putting a zipper on the organizer means losing the laptop portion. I haven't seen anybody that does the laptop portion and the zipper portion separate. So I had to have the open version. And like I said, I do not fly with this. I fly with a different tote. So it just depends. And like I said, I haven't flown in a while. So anyways, but if you're traveling like by car, because this doesn't have like that back pocket, what I do is I will set it on the top of my suitcase. And then I will put this strap through this strap so that kind of holds it up. And then I will put this strap over the suitcase handle, so then my suitcase handle is coming through there. That will keep it from falling forward or dumping out. But I would still be very, very careful because this canvas still can get damaged if it were to fall off of your suitcase, fall under a suitcase. I mean, you still just want to be careful with these because it's just not, you know, there is going to be said for the fact that the canvas is different than it was 30, 40, 50, 120 years ago. That's pretty much all I have to say about this. You know, it's a good starter bag for somebody that needs a bag, needs a giant tote. I think anybody and everybody can use a giant tote. You can always find a use for this, but it's just whether or not this particular one fits your lifestyle. I definitely recommend going in, trying them on, and really making sure that it works for your lifestyle. And also before you buy one, that you can get the right organizer for your lifestyle, because I definitely don't feel like that it's the kind of bag that you want everything just floating around in. And if you are that kind of person that likes everything just floating around, then I would still get a liner for this, because like Samorga and Original Club and the other organizer companies do make like just where you could do a liner if you don't want a shaper. And then that would also save you if for whatever reason you were walking one day and something spilled in your bag. I've heard so many horror stories of people spilling water bottles in their bag, you know, things like that. So anyways, that's all I have to say about that for now. So if you have any other questions about the Neverfull GM, please leave them in the comments below. If you haven't already, I'd really love it if you'd subscribe. We are getting bigger by the day. It is really, really nice to see now that I'm getting kind of back in the swing of filming and editing and getting my camera issues solved, one component at a time. Okay, and I totally didn't mention these nails. Okay, so I am experimenting with the Kiss press-on nails. These are the Kiss Gel Fantasy in the short length, although I will say these are really long to me for a short length, but this is the color Ribbons, I believe. Yeah, this is the color Ribbons. I had a horrible experience with a nail salon here in Louisiana. I've tried to find another one. It was really bad. Things went very wrong. And so I've decided to go back to kind of like press on nails for a while. And I used to think these were so tacky, but you know, I think they've come a long way. I still think these are a little bit long and I feel like they look ever so slightly fakey. I do like the slightly shorter version. There's another version of these that's a little bit shorter, and I felt like those looked super natural, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, where'd you go to get that done? At home, $7. Doing this instead of spending $80 every 3 to 4 weeks to go get dip redone and then to have problems with my nails cracking and breaking, I would much rather do this from the comfort of my home. 80 bucks a month, gosh, in a year, that's almost a whole nother handbag or a Louis Vuitton wallet. So I'm definitely really happy I'm saving that money. So just as an FYI, in case you guys were like, oh, interesting, different nails. So anyways, again, thank you guys so much for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Leave a comment below if you'd like to see any more kind of in-depth reviews, wear and tear on any of my other bags. This is the only one that is over a year old now. The others won't be at 1 year until, at least the other luxury bags will not be a 1 year until midsummer. So this is the only one that I could really do this type of review on for now. So anyways, I do have my collection video coming soon where you'll get to see some of my other pieces, my luxury and my contemporary brands. So if you have any other video requests, if you'd like to see more in-depth reviews on some of my other bags, please let me know in the comments below. And I will see you next time. Bye everyone. Who wears something like this? All the bling. I look like somebody from a music video in the 90s.